Don't get booed off stage or booed out of your next appointment because you're using AI incorrectly. Hey guys, Mike Ferrante here, based out of the Cleveland area. We're real estate agents and we serve basically all of Ohio. If you have a real estate need in Ohio, I can probably help you. We go all the way down to central Ohio, up here in northeast Ohio, Cleveland, Akron, Canton, Lorain. So hit us up. Just go to 21mike.com, click that button at the top, and schedule an appointment with me or someone on the team. And of course, if you have a need for real estate anywhere in the world, we have a great referral network. Just on this call, I see not only Ohio represented, we have all the way down to San Antonio, Texas. So thanks for being here, Scott. Uh, anyway, going back to the topic, we do this training every single Tuesday. They're quick hitters. They're 20 minutes. And if you're listening and watching on YouTube, thank you for being there. Smash the subscribe button. The podcast, the audio goes out on free beer in real estate. And once again, you missed the free beer. That's tomorrow. So come on back tomorrow for your free cold beer in a frosted mug. And of course, live on Facebook. So hi, Facebook. Hope you're enjoying this. Let's get to the topic. It's about AI. If you missed the last week's training, go back and watch it. It was awesome. I mean, it was all the great uses of AI, and I gave a bunch of examples. Just this morning, I used AI twice, once to help me make notes for this training. And I used it again for another task, helping me summarize some stuff that I just wanted to make sure I had notes. And it got me started on the task. It saved me a bunch of time. But here's the thing. There are people literally being booed on stage, for example, at commencement speeches. University of Central Florida, Gloria Caulfield booed over AI comments. Basically, she said it's the next industrial revolution. And the people at the college were mad. They were saying, well, that's AI is taking our jobs. We're creatives. It's a direct threat to our entry-level jobs. So they got booed for talking about it because she didn't make it clear that AI wasn't a replacement for them. University of Arizona, the former CEO of Google, Eric Schmidt, booed off, not he didn't wasn't booed off stage, but he was saying basically get on the AI train or miss it. And the students reacted strongly, and it wasn't a rejection of AI necessarily, but it was sort of a tone deaf, hey, he, and this is the former CEO of Google who probably understands AI almost better than anyone, but it was this feeling of this is awesome and it's going to replace you mentality. There's also the case, these attorneys in 2023, they used AI to help with their case. And so they said, hey, help me find some case law that supports this argument. And it did. ChatGPT generated some cases. And then in court, the opposing counsel said, I've never heard of those cases. And it turns out that they were fabricated by ChatGPT. So these are some extreme examples of how AI can erode confidence in you. It can erode your credibility. You can lose your brand if you use AI incorrectly. So what I've done is I've created a list with the help of AI of things not to do in order to have this happen. You do not want to have your trust eroded, right? So before I get started on my list, what got me thinking about this was as I'm looking at social media, I'm seeing a lot more garbage content being put out there, right? And so we're being told AI is being crammed down our throats as real estate agents. Real estate agents, you need to create more content. You need to create videos. You need to create blogs and posts and Google business posts and Facebook posts and Instagram and you need to create all this stuff. And oh, by the way, AI can help you do it. So what's happening is I'm starting to notice agents posting things that were clearly written by AI. They're horribly generic. They're valueless. And so I see the agent associated with that and I think, they're diluting their brand. People are going to stop paying attention to you if the content that you're putting out is generic. Or raise your hands. I can't see you, but raise your hands if you've been looking at stuff online and you say that was written by ChatGPT. What are the dead giveaways? The emojis, the check boxes, the overly flowery language, right? So are you starting to notice AI generated content and are you starting to say, I'm not going to pay attention to that as much because ChatGPT created it. And what's the value if it's not created by a human, some local area expert? Remember, real estate's hyper local. So if you're using ChatGPT to create your hyper local content without having hyper local information, you're submitting generic content out there that people are going to ignore. So here are my top tips. Number one is remember the audience can tell when it's not you, especially if you haven't trained your AI to sound like you. So when you see property descriptions in your MLS, for example, on Zillow, if you can tell it was written by AI, you're doing it wrong. I'm using AI to help me with descriptions. It creates a first draft for me, and then I go in and add the things that it missed. I know the hyper local content. I know what freeways it's near the property. I know that it's close to the airport. It grabs some of that stuff, but it also makes mistakes. So that's why it's so important to preview, edit, make it in your voice though. That is really the key. If you sound just like everybody else who's using AI, what's the value in someone talking to you about anything at all? It can dilute your brand. Using generic verbiage like beautiful home, don't miss this opportunity, whether you're buying or selling, that is all very vanilla sounding content. And what are the top coaches talking about today? Mike Pillow. What does Brandon Mulranen say? He says, how do you sound different? If you sound like everyone else who's posting content, calling expires, calling, hi, Scott, it's Mike. I noticed your house didn't sell, wondering if you're still interested in selling. I mean, that's a very generic vanilla script. Does that script sound good to you? Well, no. And just like that, your content, if it's written by AI and sounds diluted, the public will know. And given what I said in the opener about students booing speakers at commencement speeches, what do you think the general public thinks about AI? A lot of them are like me and maybe like you saying, it's awesome, it's cool. Look, I love technology. I love when they came out with a microwave oven, so I didn't have to heat up everything in my oven or on the stovetop. I remember people resisted microwaves. I remember using a hammer to hammer nails in a shingle roof. And then I got a nail gun, and I'm like, oh my God, how did I not have a nail gun sooner? And my nail gun still has a hose attached to it because I have to connect it to a compressor. You guys are laughing at me right now because, like, geez, Mike, get a nail gun from this century. You guys have nail guns with battery packs, and you're able to nail, and I have to have mine connected to a compressor. Yes. All right, don't laugh at me. I'm not doing as much carpentry anymore. But the thing is that there's people out there who say, I don't care. I don't care. I'm still going to ride my horse to work. I'm saying that in hyperbole. They're not literally riding their horse to work, but there are people who are saying, I don't trust it. I don't trust a microwave oven because there's microwaves. They're going to fry my brain. They're going to damage me. They're going to make me sterile. Oh, that's a soundbite right there. You guys, you editors, you got to use that one. The microwaves are going to make me sterile. All right. Anyway, we're starting to see generic content damaging credibility. So people are going to start to wonder, did you even check this? Are you this careless with contracts and paperwork? Are you this careless with pricing? Are you this careless with my money? That's the result of publishing stuff that makes people think that you don't care. How about compliance problems? The listing description creator that I use was written by someone else. The dude's name is Rajeev, Rajeev. He doesn't pay me for referring people to him, but he's done it for me. Guys, go out there and find prompts, custom GPTs, I'm sure Claude, which I'm using the heck out of, has the similar things. Go out there and find things that are written for you. He installed guardrails on his listing description creator. As it creates my descriptions, the first draft of my descriptions that I edit and change, I can see it thinking. It says, hey, I'm checking to make sure I didn't throw in any fair housing stuff. Nothing about like a local church, for example, or synagogue or whatever. We don't want to see that verbiage in there. It's a potential compliance issue. And so if you're using AI willy-nilly, that's right, I said willy-nilly, you could potentially be throwing compliance issues into your stuff. Anybody see the movie uh now I forget the name of it. Um the one that the South Park creators make, Idiocracy. Idiocracy. Anyone see that movie? It's all about how technology made people stupid. It made them lazy. People were just lying in chairs sipping food out of a straw. People didn't know how to use their brains anymore. So one of the long-term risks here of using AI as a substitute for thinking is that we get lazy. Even if it's just a perception, do you stop learning the local market? Do you stop developing your own point of view? Are we just regurgitating what AI gives to us? Are we unable to explain our value? Can you write something if you had to? And we stop improving. My take last week's session was all about using AI to be more productive. Okay. And I'm going to get at the end, I'm going to throw out some ways to frame it because I think, spoiler alert, we should be transparent and proactive about telling people how we're using AI. Hey, I used AI to help with this. On my last listing presentation, I gave it to him and I said, by the way, I used Claude to help me write this. It did this, this, and this. It, I gave it the template. I worked for hours creating this template, and then now I'm able to give Claude data, and it helps me fill in the blanks. And of course, I check everything over, and these are the things that I contributed to it. I think being transparent about your use of AI is a good plan. AI, like I said in the opener, often lacks local judgment. It's taking data from everywhere. And is your market like every other market? I think it can also give you a false sense of productivity. Oh, look at all this stuff I did. Check. I don't have to do stuff now because I did all this other stuff. That's not true. Some of the stuff needs to come from you. You also have to watch what AI is grabbing. My wife reminded me that we have a friend who says you should be using AI on a separate computer because it could be revealing sensitive information. Right this minute, I have Claude connected to my email. And I got to tell you, I worry a little bit. Is Claude going to go in there and forward an email or something that I don't want forwarded? Now, I don't have it set to do things autonomously. I have it set to where it gets to a certain point and says, Mike, do you want to send this? And I look it over before it gets sent. But who knows? That's my point is that can you get to a point using AI where sensitive or confidential information is being exposed? I think one of the biggest things is the sameness. Look, we're all trying to be different, like Brandon Mulranen says. How do we stand out? And if we're all producing the same content, we all seem the same. And if you ask the average consumer, is there anything special about what real estate agents do? Most of them are like, no, they're all pretty much the same. And that's why I go with the cheapest one. We talked about that before. So, what I would say is that the bad use of AI sounds like this. I used AI so I could avoid doing the work, not to appear lazy. Okay, to appear lazy, and that appears lazy is what I'm saying. Good use of AI sounds a little bit more like this. I used AI to remove the low value, lower, like more mundane tasks so I could spend time doing the high value work. That's how clients should feel, right? I mean, it's no different than when we use assistants, and all the folks on my team here, you guys know we have a transaction coordinator, we have a marketing coordinator. Heck, I have a photographer and a video editor, and we've got a virtual assistant in India. Clients feel like they're getting great service because I'm able to spend higher quality time doing the things that really matter with those clients. I'm not worrying about editing a video. I'm not worried about filing documents in Google Drive. I'm not worried about setting up things in showing time or, monitoring the inflow of emails. I'm doing high quality activities. It reduces the friction of those lower tier activities so that I can focus on the higher tier. I use AI where it helps me move faster, not outsource my judgment, my expertise, and my experience. That's the thing. People hire me because of my negotiating skill, my experience, my local expertise, my construction experience. That's one of my value propositions. So, my question for you all is figure out what is your value proposition. What things can you remove from your plate so that you can do more of those activities? What things can AI do for you that don't tarnish your brand, that don't make you the same as everybody else? What can it do for you so that you can make yourself different, so you can elevate your brand and make yourself different? So now your homework is to go back and watch last week all the different stuff you can do, all the different things that you can do to take generic activities off your plate, and then watch this one again so that you don't make the mistakes that we just talked about. All right, next week, I'm going to talk about next week real quick because I've got a really, really special guest, Hesh Sagafi from Liberty Home Mortgage. He's in multiple states. Scott, I don't think he's in Texas, but he's going to be here and he is going to lay on us some incredible content. He's Hesh is just an amazing guy. Not only is he an industry expert in the mortgage business, he's got great advice for real estate agents. He's taken agents under his wing and helped them grow, just like he does with loan officers. But he's going to spend some time with us and he's going to blow you guys away. So make sure you come back next week and listen up for Hesh. And that is the 16th. And then the week after that, I'm going to do another session on the whole thing happening with Zillow, Compass, the exclusives. Listen, I know you guys might be tired of hearing about it in the news, but I have a little different take. I have an agent-centric, public-centric take on this, and it's not, oh, Zillow's right, Compass is right. None of that. It has nothing to do with that. I think that a lot of us are missing the point of the whole conversation. I think we're missing the point, and that is that we're not looking at what's best for the public and what's best for agents. So I don't think anybody's right. I think that I got an email from the guys at Thousand Watt. Brian Boero, I'm going to give him a little tag here. I actually replied to him and said, "Dude, you hit it right on the head." And he replied to me and said, "Thank you." And that we're all missing the point here. So I reread his email like 3 times, and I'm like, this perspective needs to be put out into the public. So that's what we're going to do in 2 weeks. All right, guys, I'm going to hit stop on the recording and open it up to comments. But thank you for being here. Remember, 21mike.com. Click that button. Love to talk real estate with you. And agents, if you want to talk real estate with me, if you're in the state of Ohio or otherwise, I have some thoughts for you. All right, everybody, have a good one.